Hey yo YouTube, I am here to continue talking about the higher level campaign I started talking about in my last video. Um, where I left off, we just introduced the Frenzy Barbarian Ur. Um, so we continue the raid. I believe right as we bust through the door, we engage in an encounter. Um, End up being like these big black monsters and more guards. Uh, like the guards are some kind of alchemists, so they're throwing like these grenades that have some kind of fortitude saving throw. I want to say we're breathing in something, and the same thing with the big black creature. Like whenever they get close to us, anyone that's near them end up having to take a fortitude save. I want to say on a plateau we saw someone pulling levers or something. And at the end of the battle, that person gets away with the little kid. According to my notes, it's Dr. Anton Silval or something like that, but I'm probably spelling that or reading that wrong. Um, and we end up finding like 30 kids, and we find out that the big black creatures are experiments that they did on the little kids, and the kid he got away with was the next one in line. Um, we find out that there's like four experiments that this lab is doing with devil weed. One turning people into zombies, one turning people into vampires, and like I said, turning the kids into the big black creature. So I guess in the next session, we investigate and we find out that all the officials in this nearby area are part of this operation, and that the local priest is a con artist, and that pretty much he's purposely getting people hooked on devil weed, like telling them that there's some kind of giving them an antidote or something like that, uh, and getting the whole town hooked on it. Uh, we end up finding out or hearing that this same operation happened in another village 4 years ago. And then it says for the next session, we go back to Titan Manor. I believe what that means is that that was the first time player that plays Craven like spent the whole night role playing. I've mentioned it before in the other campaign that the player there's a few times they did it in that session in that campaign, but in this campaign, like there's a handful of times where they'll just take over the game and roleplay the whole night, and we'll get nothing done. What they were doing in this session, I want to say it was just talking to the villagers, like they were fully investigating the last situation I was just talking about, which to a point does continue the storyline that was going on. Other times that the player does it, not so much. It's just stuff that has to do with their story. And then looking at my notes for the next session from what's going on, uh, some character named some mercenary named Manticore ends up really insulting Craven at some point, and I want to say this is what he took the whole. Like I want to say we spent like 2 sessions going over where Craven is setting up a meeting with Manticore, and secretly he wants to kill him. Something about he like threatened Naomi, like whenever they were going back and forth, he ended up making a comment that he was gonna kill Naomi or something. And then Craven's solution is like, well, I gotta kill Manticore, and I believe the DM needed that not to happen. So the story just kind of goes round and round until eventually Johan, because Johan stays out of it, or my character stays out of it the whole time because I don't really know what's going on. And then eventually we have a meeting, and Johan starts asking what exactly did he do. it hasn't been established yet, but Johan has a code where he doesn't kill members of a goodly race. Because as I said in last video, in his world, there's been 600 years of peace. So all he's ever fought is things in the Underdark. He's never killed a goodly race before, and he's a lawful good character. So I make it where he doesn't want to start to. So, like I said, he's questioning why do you want to kill this person? And he starts asking what allies, what friends does this guy have? Because if we kill them, then those people are going to be our enemies. Uh, like I said, eventually it gets brought up that he's a mercenary, and we ended up deciding, well, maybe since he's a mercenary, I guess it gets brought up that we could work with them instead of killing him. Uh, or keep that idea open as we go to this meeting that has been planned. And then in that meeting, Manacor ends up telling us about some poker game that the people will probably know more about Devilweed or have some information about Devilweed. My notes actually don't say much about the encounter, but from memory, it was kind of a big deal. Because we rate this we rate this poker game, uh, and Craven ends up like taking half the gold from the people playing the game, whether they were involved in our thing or not. Like he just straight up kind of steals it. Um, to a point, I don't even remember exactly what we fought at the poker game. I want to say it was just more guards and stuff. And then, like I said, we interrogated them and then found out more about other hell devilweed spots. And in the other campaign, the lower level campaign, there was a situation that was similar. If you watch those videos, and this ends up getting referenced then because they're so similar, and they happened around the same time. Where we're like, yeah, that group just got taken down by the Band of Titans, and like the Band of Titans like took like half the gold from the people there. So after that, like I have like a one-off session with the DM by myself because the two blacksmiths that are on Titan Manor are are is a gray dwarf and a goblin, and also I didn't mention that Johan wears Tyzak's armor, his my original character, that he's the nephew of red dragon armor, and he also has his dwarven claymore that he wields, and when it gets time to get upgrades, like Johan's like, I can't let a gray dwarf and a goblin work on my uncle's armor, and he ends up asking one of the dwarves we meet named that's uh, that's Paladin from the clan Empty Mug, and he ends up asking him, does he know how to enchant magical items, and if he would do it for him. Uh, One thing that I noticed that the DM said was that the Grey Dwarf and the Goblin, they could pretty much make a magical item overnight instead of doing the rule book's way to do it. Um, the Empty Mug tells me that he knows people in the Dwarven Mountains that will be able to do it faster and better if I wanted to take the time to go down there. So I said, me and the DM spend like a session where he goes to the Dwarven nations, introduces himself as a member of an alternate version of Stone Crusher. Says he's the nephew of Tyzak, and they introducing me to I can't remember what their species is called, but pretty much they're like leprechauns, but instead of be it daytime, they're they're nighttime creatures. Um, Boozy and Balto is what I think their names are. But it turns out there's some kind of special forgers that are extremely rare, and they're not really that known that there's forgers like this that exist in the world, and they're sought after, and they're kind of kept a secret because if it gets found out that that they're here, like people might try to take them and stuff. Uh, Same thing that where they could pretty much make magical items overnight. And then from memory, like again, this isn't in my notes, but from memory, Johan kind of puts together that the Duger and the Goblin are these special type of forgers, and he ends up more introducing himself to them whenever he returns to the manor, and someone asks us about it, like someone changes his question. Back in the manor, there is like a regular forger or dwarf that he has working with him, because there's a few things he ends up working on, like he like started making armor for his dog Basker, which is something I also left out. Is that Basker is his dog Basker is a Rottweiler, and it's like Guinevere, where it's a onyx figure that he could call forth, and also he talks. I want to say that the dog that Samwise has in Critical Role was the same one or the same type. But shortly after, I guess he talks to the Grey Dwarf and Goblin. A lady named Sky or Shy shows up, and she asks for them to go onto a expedition to explore Lorangate. And Lorangate, in this in our world, is kind of a popular spot that comes gets brought up in our games. Pretty much, it's like imagine like Rome that fell and turned into ruins, and now goblinoids and humanoids have taken over the area. Um, in like the first campaign, there was a big story of Lorangate where they stopped a goblin rage, and then later on they found out in an alternate world that if they didn't stop that goblin rage, it would have been like an apocalypse. And I want to say in that session, we go into Lorangate, start exploring, and we end up having uh, our first real big, our me and Earth player's first big encounter with werewolves, which for becomes a big deal because eventually he ends up having a big thing against werewolves. The next session, like I want to say that Craven wasn't in the last battle, the last fight. Like he dropped out early, and me and Earth player kept on wanting to go. And the next session, either a few other players showed up for the first time since I've been there, or they missed out last session. I don't exactly remember, but one of them is Gideon, who is like a black person who is from the Vampire Hunter D universe, and like he also has a hand like him with a mouth. Um, the player also played Richter in the other game, and then there was another character named Chevy, and he's a ranger. Apparently, in his home world, he was from our world. He was just playing Skyrim, and then he got like sucked into the video game, and now he's here. From memory, it took us forever for the two groups to meet up. Like the ones that were already playing were camped out, and the other group was on the map just like walking. And I remember eventually I was like, "This is taking too long," and I just come out and meet the group. And then I mean, we kept on exploring. Uh, this time, this campaign, or this session, we ended up fighting some kind of like aquatic creatures. I want to say by now, or it might be one of the next fight, the player that plays Earth starts making the joke that we're fighting like all the monster squad, where we fought the Black Lagoon, we fought a werewolf, yeah, we already fought vampires, and we keep on making the joke that the Frankenstein's monster's next. And then like the next session, uh, we end up seeing some catacombs. Um, and like there's like a bridge, and in between it are like a bunch of rings, and like Milo does some kind of illusion to where I want to say it's like orcs fighting or something like that. um he does something to make the race pay attention to them, and we just end up running past them. uh I remember as a player, or uh that's like one of the first times I encountered that, where they run past. Like I remember thinking, you can't run past that. We have to kill everything. We need, this is experience getting lost. When I brought it up, someone at the end of the night, the DM was like, yeah, I was surprised the first, because like he played for years in different groups outside of whenever I first used to play with them, and he kind of says like, yeah, I was surprised some of the first times I see people do that. He also said something about how experienced they dished out that way. Like since we ran past them or got through the encounter, we're probably it probably wouldn't change anything. And then once when we got inside, we started fighting these undead goblins. Uh, I want to say more werewolves, and there was like lady vampires, and then eventually a master vampire came out. Uh, I want to say Nina got the kill because I somewhat remember it. I want to say that Basker attacked it first, and then Nina got the death kill, or attacked it right before that, and then Nina got the kill right after. And after that encounter, I want to say that's when we left Lorangate. The next session, Johan, I believe, wants to go to the vortex, so he asks the dwarves permission first, or tells the local dwarves that he wants to go there, and they give him a side mission to do that first. And I think I'm gonna stop there. So you want to know what happens next? Watch the next video to this series, and you want to know the whole stories? Watch all my videos, and check you later.